Uma Thurman, Texas abortion law is a human rights crisis for American women. I have followed the course of Texas radical anti-abortion law with great sadness and something akin to horror. Now, in the hope of drawing the flames of controversy away from the vulnerable women on whom this law will have an immediate effect, I am sharing my own experience. You might not be interested in the opinions of an actress, but given this new outrage, I feel it is my responsibility to stand up in their shoes. I started my acting career at 15, working in an environment where I was often the only kid in the room. In my late teens, I was accidentally impregnated by a much older man. I was living out of a suitcase in Europe, far from my family and about to start a job. I struggled to figure out what to do. I wanted to keep the baby, but how? I telephoned home. My mother was gravely ill in the hospital. My father went to her bedside to discuss my options. We had never spoken about sex before. This was the first time, and it was terrible for all of us. They asked me about the status of my relationship. It was not viable, and warned me how difficult it would be to raise a baby as a teen on my own. My childish fantasy of motherhood was soundly corrected as I weighed answers to their very precise questions. I was just starting out in my career and didn't have the means to provide a stable home, even for myself. We decided as a family that I couldn't go through with a pregnancy and agreed that termination was the right choice. My heart was broken nonetheless. An older female friend in Germany offered to help me. In her doctor's office in Cologne, I was given a local anesthetic and had an abortion. I lay awake on the table while the doctor, who was a kind man, explained every step of the process as it happened. It hurt terribly, but I didn't complain. I had internalized so much shame that I felt I deserved the pain. My fingers were tightly My fingers were tightly locked across my chest, and when the procedure was done, the doctor looked down at me and said, "You have beautiful hands. You remind me of my daughter." That single gesture of humanity is seared in my mind as one of the most compassionate moments I have ever experienced. In his eyes, I was a person, I was a daughter, I was still a girl. There is so much pain in this story. It has been my darkest secret until now. I am 51 years old, and I am sharing it with you from the home where I have raised my 3 children, who are my pride and joy. My life has been extraordinary, at times filled with heartbreak, challenge, loss, and fear, just like so many women's lives, but also marked, like theirs, by courage and compassion. I conceived my beautiful magical children with men whom I loved and trusted enough to dare to bring a child into this world. I have no regrets for the path I have traveled. I applaud and support women who make a different choice. The abortion I had as a teenager was the hardest decision of my life, one that caused me anguish then, that saddens me even now. But it was the path to the life full of joy and love that I have experienced. Choosing not to keep that early pregnancy allowed me to grow up and become the mother I wanted and needed to be. I have nothing to gain from this disclosure, and perhaps much to lose. In revealing the hole that this decision carved in me, I hope that some light will shine through, reaching women and girls who might feel ashamed that they can't protect themselves from and have no agency over. I can assure you that no one finds herself on that table on purpose. The Texas abortion law was allowed to take effect without argument by the Supreme Court, which, due in no small part to its lack of ideological diversity, is a staging ground for a human rights crisis for American women. This law is yet another discriminatory tool against those who are economically disadvantaged, and often indeed against their partners. Women and children of wealthy families retain all the choices in the world and face little risk. I am grief-stricken as well that the law pits citizen against citizen, creating new vigilantes who will prey on these disadvantaged women, denying them the choice not to have children they are not equipped to care for, or extinguishing their hopes for the future family they might choose. To all of you, to women and girls of Texas afraid of being traumatized and hounded by predatory bounty hunters, to all women outraged by having our bodies' rights taken by the state, and to all of you who are made vulnerable and subjected to shame because you have a uterus, I say, I see you. Have courage. You are beautiful. You remind me of my daughters. 저는 compassionate이 여기서는 이제 차전을 찾으면 연민이다, 뭐 동정이다 이렇게 얘기하는데 지금 우마 서먼 같은 그러니까 우마 서먼이 지금 이 문장에서 얘기한 그 compassionate 같은 경우는 더 이해해주는 예, 이해해주는 느낌으로 더 갔어요. 그러니까 인간의 약간 이런 느낌이 더 느껴지는 것 같아요. 그리고 이제 seared라고 되어 있으니까 원래는 searing 한다 해서 고기 굽는 거를 얘기를 할 수 있는데 sear가 여기서는 이제 완전히 그 뭐랄까 뜨겁게 그러니까 burn이라는 뜻이거든요. 그러니까 뜨겁게 가슴을 달궜다. 그러니까 가슴에 남았다. 가슴을 달궜다. 그렇게 느껴졌어요. 가슴에 달궜다. 그럼 이제 that single gesture of humanity is seared in my mind as one of the most compassionate moments I have ever experienced. 그러니까 그 의사 선생님의 하나의 제스처가 어떤 태도죠. 태도의 어떤 뭐 움직임. 그러니까 인간적인 어떤 태도, 뭐 움직임이라는 것이 인간의 바탕을 둔 어떤 태도로 그 단 하나, 그러니까 싱글은 제가 볼 때 이제 단 하나의 이거를 얘기를 해주고 싶었던 것 같아요. The single gesture of humanity is seared in my mind. 내 마음속에 딱 가슴을 딱 달군 거죠. 가슴을 이제 뜨겁게 해줬다라는 거죠. 뭐로써 했냐면 one of the most compassionate moments I have ever experienced. 내가 경험했던 그 순간들 중에 가장 어떤 인간애가 총집합된 가장 이해를 받았던 그런 순간이었다라는 것 같아요. 그럼 이거를 한번 다시 정리를 해볼게요. 이렇게 정리가 되거든요. 그 의사 선생님의 어떤 그 행동이 내 마음에 되게 뜨겁게 남아있는데 내가 살면서 경험했던 그 순간들 중 하나로, 이해받았던 순간들 중 하나로 뜨겁게 남아있다. 요게 이제 첫 번째 try고, 이걸 second try, 그 다음에 third try로 좀 깔끔하게 정리를 한번 해봐야 될 것 같아요. 저는 이렇게 문장을 한국어로 나만의 해석을 좀 넣어서 해야 그 문장이 오래 가더라고요. 낭독을 하면 낭독하는 대로 날아가요. 그러니까 낭독 자체는 좋은데 그 언어, 나의 모국어 있죠? 모국어로 한번 재해석을 거치는 과정이 중요해요. 시간이 오래 걸리지만 그 과정이 되게 중요하다라는 거를 더 깨달은 것 같아요. 그러니까 돌아가는 길 같지만 돌아가는 길이 아니라 오히려 확실하게 가는 길이라는 생각이 들었어요. 이렇게 정리를 해봤어요. So that single gesture of humanity is seared in my mind as one of the most compassionate moments I have ever experienced. 아까 전체적인 그 우마 서먼의 그 글을 읽었어요. 되게 뭐라고 할까, 강렬하면서 마음을 움직이는 글을 굉장히 잘 쓰는 분이라는 거를 느꼈어요. 전체적인 필사를 한번 해보고 싶다. 예, 라는 생각을 했습니다. 하면서 이렇게 글 쓰고 싶다? 항상 필사하면서 느끼는 거지만 예, 이렇게 쓰고 싶다. 그런 생각이 들었어요.